The 11th day. Ethan had always been a skeptic. Ghost stories, urban legends, cursed objects, it was all nonsense to him. But that changed the day he found the videotape. It started as an ordinary Sunday afternoon. Ethan had been clearing out the attic of his family's old house. Dust clung to everything, and the air smelled musty, thick with the scent of forgotten memories. While rummaging through old boxes, he came across a weathered VHS tape, unlabeled, tucked inside an ancient wooden box. Curiosity piqued, Ethan took it downstairs. Later that night, he sat in front of his aging TV, the VHS player groaning as it struggled to play the tape. The screen flickered, static hissing before the picture stabilized. A grainy image appeared, a young girl, no older than 12, sitting alone in a dimly lit room. Her eyes were wide with terror, her hair matted and tangled, dressed in a stained white nightgown. The footage was old, the edges of the screen glitching occasionally. Suddenly, a man's voice spoke from behind the camera, cold and detached. "You can scream all you want. No one's coming for you." The camera zoomed out, showing the girl's surroundings. She was trapped in a well, cold stone walls towering around her. The sound of dripping water echoed faintly. Her stepfather's voice continued, explaining how he had trapped her there to keep her silent. Tortured and broken, the girl's whimpers filled the small room Ethan was sitting in. Ethan felt his chest tighten, disturbed by the cruelty of it. He reached for the remote to stop the tape, but it wouldn't eject. The video went on for what felt like hours long, agonizing footage of the girl's suffering, before it abruptly cut to static. But that wasn't what haunted him the most. At the very end, before the screen went black, the girl turned her face to the camera. Her eyes stared directly into his soul, and she whispered something he couldn't make out. The strange occurrences began the next morning. His phone rang at exactly 3:45 a.m., waking him from a deep sleep. Groggy and annoyed, he reached for his cell and answered. "Hello." Nothing. Silence. "Who is this?" he said again, irritation creeping into his voice. There was still no response, just a low static hum on the other end. Then, a faint whisper broke the silence, "You saw me." Ethan's breath caught in his throat, and he immediately hung up. He tried to convince himself it was just a prank, or some sort of nightmare, but deep down, he knew something was off. Over the next few days, things only got worse. The TV would turn on by itself, glitching between static and black screens, sometimes showing brief flashes of the girl from the tape, her face distorted in the flickering light. Every time it happened, a countdown would flash on the screen, 7 days left. 6 days left. Ethan would rush to turn off the TV, but the message stayed burned in his mind. The more he tried to ignore it, the stronger the presence became. On the 4th night, he heard the front door creak open by itself. He stepped cautiously down the stairs, his heart pounding in his ears. The house was pitch black, save for the flickering blue light from the TV in the living room. As he approached the door, a cold gust of wind brushed against him. He slammed it shut, locking it, only to hear a soft voice behind him. "Why did you watch?" Ethan spun around, but the living room was empty. His pulse raced, hands trembling. He was losing his grip on reality. Every phone call, every flicker of the TV, felt like the girl from the well was closing in on him. By day 6, the sleep deprivation and paranoia were wearing him down. Ethan decided to go back to the attic, desperate to find some clue about the tape. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe there was something else in the box he missed. He scoured the old wooden chest again and found a single sheet of paper tucked under some faded documents. It was a newspaper clipping dated from the 18th of June, 1999, exactly 11 years ago. The headline read, "Local girl found dead in well, stepfather suspected but never found." A chill ran down his spine. The photo next to the article was unmistakable. It was her. The girl in the video. The article described how she had been missing for weeks, and when her body was finally found, there were no leads except the suspicions surrounding her abusive stepfather, who vanished the day of her death. Beneath the article, a hand-scrawled note read, "They all die on day 11. Don't watch the tape." Day 7 came, and Ethan's world spiraled further out of control. Phones kept ringing, but the whispers were now constant. "You saw me. I see you." The TV would flash more frequently with the countdown, 4 days. 3 days. He didn't know who to turn to. Who would believe him? Even his best friend shrugged it off, thinking it was just his imagination running wild. But Ethan knew better. He was being hunted. And time was running out. By day 9, the hallucinations had become unbearable. The girl was everywhere in reflections, in the dark corners of his house, watching him through every keyhole. At night, he could hear the faint sound of dripping water, as if he, too, were trapped in that well. He barely slept, but when he did, he dreamed of the well, the cold stones pressing in on him as the girl's voice echoed all around. "You saw me. Now you will die like me." By day 10, Ethan was desperate. The countdown on the TV now said 1 day left. He knew he didn't have much time, but there was one thing he hadn't tried, finding the well. He scoured old town records, finding mention of an abandoned property just outside town, once owned by the girl's stepfather. The well was on the grounds. Ethan packed a flashlight and headed there, heart hammering in his chest. Maybe if he could find the well, he could break the curse. That night, he reached the property, a decrepit old house, long abandoned. The well sat in the backyard, just as he had imagined it from the video. Cold, ancient stone, dark and foreboding. He approached it, his flashlight casting long shadows on the ground. He stared into the well, his breath turning to mist in the frigid air. A feeling of dread crept up his spine as he leaned closer, peering into the darkness below. Suddenly, a hand shot out from the darkness, small, pale, and cold as death. It latched onto his wrist with an iron grip. Ethan screamed, stumbling back, but the hand held tight. The girl's face emerged from the well, her hollow eyes locking onto his. "You watched?" she hissed, her voice the same distorted whisper from the phone. Day 11 arrived. Ethan never made it home. They found his body near the well, his eyes wide open in terror. The police chalked it up to natural causes, no visible wounds, no signs of foul play. But the locals knew better. The legend continued, anyone who watched the tape would die on the 11th day. Just like the girl.